Today I'm here in Durham to meet a very special fast bowler to find out what it takes to earn a test cap and run in for England. Here's the story of cap number 667.
I feel incredibly proud and lucky.
That's out! Mark Wood does the trick again!
I can't believe I'm amongst these people, because it was just a total different next level up. There was a lot of setbacks, there was a lot of hard work. At times I might have doubted it.
No, surely he hasn't dislocated something.
That was one of the best I think I'd ever bowled for England.
At last, Mark Wood has got his first test wicket. Another wicket for Mark Wood.
Mark, we're here at Durham, a place you know very well indeed, but I'm going to start with something really, really easy for you. 3 words to describe you as a person, as a player.
Energetic, definitely. Fasty, good ball fast, and Northumbrian.
Very good. Not goofy?
Maybe a little bit goofy.
Okay. Now we've stepped onto the grass here, and probably quite a familiar feeling for you. You've been playing here for years. Just talk us through your early memories.
I was actually a bit of a late developer when I first started at Durham. You know, I didn't get a professional contract until I was 22 or 23, somewhere around there. So early doors, it was just on the academy days here, probably late nights, 4 or 5 o'clock. I remember John Windows had us training in the rain, had us diving on mud piles out the back and stuff like that. But it was all great fun to try and get a glimpse of the first team lads. I didn't ever truly believe that I'd probably make it. As a young kid, I was more of a batsman. And then as I came through to the academy, a bit more of an all-rounder, and then my fast bowling developed. But it was trying to get used to that club cricketer mentality of bowling once a week and trying to make sure that I could get through that to all of a sudden bowling 4 or 5 times a week and developing through there. So it was a little bit different, but absolutely loved it. Every time I was here at Durham, represent people here in the region, always pretty special.
So you're saying it wasn't always fast bowling from the start, even though your hero at the time was Steve Harmison?
That's right. As a kid, I was a batsman, and then as I came through, more of a little swing bowler, and then I could bowl spells where I would bowl maybe like one spell where it would be quick, and then the rest of them would be back to that swing ball and stuff that I developed. But then as I got in with John Windows, the academy coach, he said to me one day, actually, he was like, "You'll be able to bowl 90 mile an hour." I was like, "Nah, no chance." But he did a lot of work with me in a couple of winters. I went away to Australia one winter, which helped me develop as well. And all of a sudden, that one spell became 2 and 3 and 4, and then I could back it up, and all of a sudden, there was a fast bowler in us somewhere.
And a role model to all the short fast bowlers.
Exactly, we're flying the flag on, we're flying the flag.
Absolutely. But talk about that time in Australia. You're 18 years old, and it was Steve Harmison who actually suggested that would be a good thing for you to do, even though for him as an England player, touring proved to be a bit of a challenge for himself, you know, getting around the world and spending time away from home, but he thought that might be good for your development. Why was that?
I think he probably saw something in me, maybe in himself, that, you know, we're very much home birds. We get a little bit homesick and we didn't want to go away, but he encouraged me to, you know, I wasn't blessed with natural ability like Harmy. I think although he worked hard, like, he was tall, he got great bounce, he could naturally bowl fast and swinging as well, whereas, you know, like I mentioned, I was more of a batsman and then had to develop my bowling as I got older. But I think, you know, I still remember his mum and dad actually sending a card through my door, which I've still got in the house, which was really nice, just saying good luck and hope it goes well. I think for him to encourage me, it wasn't the final, you know, thing that I went off, but it was definitely helped in my decision making to say, well, if Stephen Harmison's telling us to go, it must help. So it developed me, I would say, more as a person than as a cricketer. I felt like I'd never been away from home. I'd never wanted to leave Ashington. All of a sudden I was in Australia. I'd grown up a little bit. Those times in Australia certainly helped with my confidence and made me feel like, you know, this isn't going to be just a hobby. I could do it and become a professional. 2013 was the year. The values of hard work, never giving up. That was probably the first time that I felt like I really belonged. I got really upset and angry. I have got it in me.
You need to be a bit mad as well.
You don't get anything unless you work for it.
Would you say that 2013 was your breakthrough season, 27 wickets at 24 or something like that, around some legends of the game, and a championship winning season as well?
That was probably the time I most felt like I belonged in the group. 2013 was the year that was sort of like Northeast lads that won the title. Before we'd had like Bankenstein, Otis Gibson, Michael Divenuto, Shivnai Tranipol, these guys that have been brought in to win us titles. Whereas that time was the sort of first time as a group we had just Northeast lads that had come through the academy together, and you know, to be a part of that and win the title, that was probably the first time that I felt like I really belonged in this Durham group. When you feel like you're making a difference or you're helping the team, then you definitely start to feel like you belong more. I mean, Graham Onions used to take us under his wing a little bit. He would give me boots and look after me, and that was really nice.
You said that you were encouraged to bowl fast, but when did you really believe that you could be a fast bowler and you could get past that 90-mile-an-hour mark?
Yeah, there was a couple of academy games, one where I got really upset and angry, and I bowled a quick spell and thought that was, I have got it in me.
What does it take to be a fast bowler, do you think?
Desire to bowl fast. Firstly, you've got to want to bowl fast. I reckon a lot of hard work, and I think, you know, the reason why we probably produce so many fast bowlers in this area is because of one, it's the wickets, but two, the values of hard work, charging in, never giving up. You don't get anything unless you work for it. So I think you've got to have all those as a fast bowler. You've got to have a bit of inner belief, a bit of strength, a bit of snarl.
Shoaib Akhtar says that you need to be a bit mad as well to bowl fast.
What do you reckon?
I'm going to ask the viewers when they watch you bowl whether they think you're mad or not.
Well, I hit the deck every other ball, so we've got to be a little bit mad.
It's amazing what you've done though across your journey to be able to transfer from one level to the next. And very soon after that 2013 season, everyone was talking about you, and you were introduced into the England Lions setup. Can you just talk us through that experience?
So originally I was on the fast bowling programme, as it was called, and had Kevin Shane and Pete Atkinson, the strength coach, and they sort of developed me a little bit more than I was real skinny, and it wasn't until I went there that they sort of showed me a bit more of a professional lifestyle, and then I developed my bowling then took off again from there. 2014, there was sort of murmurs that I'd done okay in 2013. That's why I was put on the pace programme. But then when they'd seen me bowl and saw, hopefully, I don't know, a potential that I had to bowl fast, I thought, well, let's just take him there. I mean, it was amongst other lads. I mean, James Harris was there, Liam Plunkett, Tamal Mills. They'd all gone on that tour, and these were people that I'd watched on the TV. You know, I'd just come into the professional game at Durham. And when I was watching these lads on TV, I was thinking, oh, I'm never going to, like, you know, keep up with these guys. But then when I was there, I started to believe, you know, I can hold my own. And I remember Kevin Shane and Bruce French, who handed me my cap. Mark Robinson was the coach, who's now at Warwickshire. They all looked at each other when I was bowling in Sri Lanka. I got 5 wickets against Sri Lanka in Colombo. And they all looked at me, and they were like, I remember coming off, and they all were saying to me, like, we couldn't believe how fast it was. Like, I must have just that day tried so hard, everything clicked, and you know, it's like when your adrenaline's going. It was an England Lions game. I thought, well, this might be it. I might never play anything else, and this is a, you know, huge honour. I'm going to play for England at some level, and England Day might be my level, so I'll give it everything I've got. Got 5 wickets, and then of course, classic me, I was injured, tore my side for the second innings, and that was it.
You get a call up to the Caribbean.
I can't believe I'm amongst these people. Oh my God, this is Alistair Cook. It was just a total different next level up. There was a lot of setbacks, there was a lot of hard work. At times I might have doubted it, and that was the hardest time to beat.
And that was probably your second setback in your career in terms of injuries, in a journey that consisted of a few injuries as a fast bowler. What did you learn from that experience to come back after injury and make yourself a better cricketer? I
think just having the knowledge that, you know, I can get through it. Trust the people that you've got around you, trust the experts, trust the way that they're sort of that diagnosis or what they're telling you need to do. If they put that trust in me when I bowl, I have to do the same thing with them with the medical stuff. And I think that there was a lot of setbacks, there was a lot of hard work, a lot of things behind the scenes where at times I might have doubted it, but when I stuck at it, things started to come good. I mean, my ankle stuff was the most frustrating without doubt. That was the hardest time to be, because it just was happening one after the other. I didn't quite get back, but around the early stages when I had injuries, I would always come back and feel like I was a young lad, so I would just be straight back into it, and I'd be like, well, it's as if nothing's happened, I've healed, I'm fine. But then around the ankle stuff, it was challenging, and it wasn't until like I got a proper breakthrough with the England physios of, you know, a set routine of what I need to do, type of strapping, gym work behind the scenes, a routine with my bowling and checking overs and things like that actually my ankle started to come good.
And then you get a call up to the Caribbean, completely different conditions. What did you learn from being around that group of players?
Oh, I remember getting on the plane and seeing Alistair Cook, and I was like, oh my God, this is Alistair Cook. Like, I can't believe it. Like, can't believe I'm amongst these people. But it was the same again when I first got in that team. You're amongst all these legends. I mean, I'd met Jimmy and Brody on the fast bowling camp in Potchefstroom, so I sort of knew them a little bit. Again, I had Liam Plunkett and Ben Stokes to lean on as friends in the group. When I first remember, I was like, oh my God, like you get a suit. They said you sit business class. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
You say you didn't go business class on the Lions flight?
No.
Oh,
I know.
what are they doing?
I know, but honestly, it was amazing. I couldn't believe how, like, the sort of way that you looked after, how many support staff there was. It was very much different to, you know, Asherton and Durham, and it was just a total different next level up. And to like see some of the guys and like actually be in that presence, I was a bit like it was a bit like of a fan moment. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to bowl at him or sit next to him. It was class.
And what did you learn in terms of the conditions?
It's just very different. My bowling's actually been better than being at home because the pitches have been a bit quicker, or they've suited like skiddy or reverse or something like that. So in the Caribbean, it was just about, you know, finding my feet in the dressing room. Could I mix it with these guys? Could I do well in foreign conditions? And I didn't think on that West Indies trip I was ever really going to play. It was just more to see how I was amongst the group, and I actually feel I fitted in well. I could be myself and just be normal.
Now, you talked a little bit about nutrition and fitness and stuff and in your development. When did you last have a cheeseburger?
Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while. If you'd said Ferrero Rochers, I might have to lie a little bit. But the thing is, nutrition is probably one of them where you think it's like a 1%er. But since we've started like developing as a group and looking at things and, you know, into World Cups and injuries and stuff like that, it's become a massive part of it. And you know, trying to look after yourself at home, especially when you're injured and stuff, is key to then, you know, helping me get back quicker. So from a nutrition side of things, it's not always easy, and I'm not going to lie, I do sneak the odd thing here and there. I still honestly feel embarrassed about the way I got my cap, and I was like, oh, why have I done that?
What was that like for you?
I don't know where to sit. I mean, I've chewed more grass than any fast bowler ever.
So Woody, you've spent some time in the Caribbean and you're watching in awe of all these amazing England cricketers around you, and you finally get your opportunity at Lord's, 21st of May 2015.
Debuts for Adam Lyth and Mark Wood. What a day for them, and what a place to make your debut for England.
What was that like for you to play at the home of cricket, but also pull on that England shirt and get your cap?
I still honestly feel embarrassed about the way I got my cap, so I didn't take my sunglasses off. I left my sunglasses, so I've got like this picture of Strauss presenting me my cap, we're shaking hands. I've got this lovely picture, I can't say things, I've got these big white sunglasses on. I was like, oh, why have I done that? So the first ever game I was going to play at Lord's was for England, so that was pretty special.
Now, first bowl in Test cricket for Mark Wood, and straight on the spot.
I remember thinking, you know, I've got about 50 people want tickets for that week. Like, I can't believe everyone wants to come watch here at Lord's. Is the slope going to be a big issue? Like, how am I going to deal with it? The thing that probably did me more than anything, not like Lord's, not the tickets, was more the external thing of playing for England. Like, actually, instead of just walking on the field thinking, right, I'm going to bowl, it was more like, oh, the cameras are on us, or, oh, you know, there's people in their seats, or I actually took probably too much in instead of just bowling. And actually, it wasn't until Harmy actually texted me on the night time saying the stumps don't move. That's all he texted me. Then the next day, I managed to get some wickets. But my first wicket would have been a beauty as well, and I was just over the line with the no ball. With Guptill, I think it was 93 mile an hour. I nipped away up the slope, nicked a cookie, took a great catch. There was no ball, and my Stokes grabbed me saying, "Same thing happened to me. Don't worry about it. Next time, like, just make sure," and all this kind of stuff. And then I was just so taken away and probably overwhelmed by the whole occasion that it wasn't until the second day when I got my first wicket caught root.
Where's that go? That's an extraordinary top edge, and it's a brilliant catch as well by Joe Root. And at last, Mark Wood has got his first Test wicket. Let's hope he didn't overstep that time.
It was actually Brendan McCullum, obviously now coach, but caught root, bowled Wood. I'm telling everybody it was a Jaffa. It was caught third man with like a big splice.
I remember it. Yeah.
But the relief was amazing.
In terms of like just going to the ground in the morning, setting your stuff up, the Lord's lunches, everyone talks about those, just the occasion of playing at Lord's. Just talk us through that as an experience.
Well, you come up the steps and everything, so you walk in the dressing room with your bag and everyone's sort of setting up, getting ready. So I was like, well, I don't know where to sit, because what happens if that's, you know, Jimmy's seat, or what if that's like Ruti's or someone else's? So I waited for everybody to put their stuff down. The only seat that was left was the one right next to the door, so I just plonked myself there. But that was, and ever since that's where I've sat, just because that's where I feel like that's where I made my debut, and that's where I would sit. And even when we won the World Cup and stuff like that, I still sat in that seat as you come in the door, just on the corner. That was my spot, and I think, you know, Lords, the lunches are iconic, which they actually are. It's the only ground I think where the nutritionist might let we get away with the pudding. So
Better than Durham?
very different. Yeah, we've got to have everything smothered in gravy. So I would still choose Durham, mind. Don't get us wrong, but Lords is pretty iconic.
Now, you've got various different kind of scenarios when you bowl, for example, when you fall over. But also the horsey sort of scenario, the celebrations, it's all very different. Is that to just G yourself up even more? Obviously the momentum takes you over as you fall through, but like the way you kind of set up, it is a little bit different sometimes.
Yeah, the horse thing was a bit of a joke that I think, you know, just snowballed and got out of hand. But in terms of falling over, I never know from it. I never fall over in training, ever. And it must just be that game, that extra 5% where you're putting in everything that you've got. And then I just kind of help it. I've got skates on, and that's it, I'm over. I mean, I've chewed more grass, I think, than any fast bowler ever. Will I actually fulfill any sort of potential? Will I even continue at all? That was probably the hardest one. A bit of my ankle bone actually snapped off, and it broke my ankle. Will you just give us a break?
Did you ever think about quitting cricket? What would you say was your biggest setback?
Probably my third ankle op, I would say, because I'd come back off the second one pretty upbeat and thinking, you know, I've sorted it, it's fixed now. And then the third one, which happened not too long after, where a bit of my ankle bone actually snapped off and it broke my ankle. That was pretty gutting, I think, at that point, where I was like, I'm going to have to do the rehab all again. I'm going to miss more cricket. Will I actually fulfill any sort of potential that I've got? Will I even continue at all? That was probably the hardest one. After the World Cup final, I mean, I got injured where I'd torn my meniscus in my knee. I'd had a side strain. I'd done my groin as well, all in the World Cup final, I think, just with trying so hard. And actually, at the end of that game, I was thinking, no, I'm still actually pretty upbeat here. We've won the World Cup. I don't actually care if I'm injured, whereas with the ankle one, I'd already missed so much cricket with the first ankle up, the second ankle up, then to go through a third one, it was a bit like, oh, will you just give us a break?
Did you ever think about quitting cricket at all?
Yes and no. Like, there was a part of us that thought, am I going to have to more than anything? I don't mind being injured or struggling with it, but when it was affecting my performance, where it was actually not how I was as a bowler, not allowing me to perform how I wanted, then I was thinking, am I really going to have to keep going through this and be, you know, 70 or 80% at my best, rather than showing people what I actually could do?
Now, we get to talk about the fun stuff, your favourite moments, and that's all the reward for all that hard work and that persistence, being able to get through it. But it's about to rain here, so let's get inside.
It's the first time I've ever seen like this. The sun always shines in the northeast.
Yeah,
I can't believe that this is actually happening.
So here we are, the Riverside dressing room.
Yep.
So we've taken you through pretty much your whole journey, but now I just want to reflect on like some of the good times.
Returns to England. A fabulous victory. Another wicket for Mark Wood.
What's been your favourite memory ever of playing cricket for England?
Oh, World Cup's obviously an easy answer, isn't it? You know, winning that competition. I think, honestly, those 4 years to winning the World Cup were the best thing I was involved in. I was amongst the group, obviously in and out with injury a little bit, but those days with that group were fantastic. Everybody was around the similar age, everybody got on. We pretty much beat everybody. I think we lost to India away, but every other series we'd won. And that 4 years was pretty special. My favourite game for England would have been that St Lucia one in the Test matches, just because purely that was the first time I thought I'd shown what I could do and felt at ease with myself as a cricketer, probably.
And it was just the most incredible spell. I mean, I remember watching it live on telly, and the commentators just started getting super excited about what they were witnessing. And you could just feel everyone's eyes suddenly turn to you and go, we're witnessing something special, because it was the fastest spell for an Englishman this century. And I reckon you're probably the fastest bowler to have ever played for England consistently. Even though we can't record back in the day, you'd be up there as one of the fastest, 97 miles an hour consistently, being able to go through those spells. That must have just filled you with so much pride.
The nice thing about that day was that I didn't actually know the speed, because in West Indies, unlike England where they'll put it up on the boards and stuff, they don't have anything like that there. They have like a screen for replays, but they don't have a board to say how quick the balls are or anything like that. And it wasn't really until we came off, I think I got a wicket and then we came off at tee, and as I was walking off route and Stokes had said, well, we're miles back here, like this is quick. And then as I went in, the analyst come up to me and he said, you bowl 94, 95 every ball. I was just like a bit like, I felt in such great rhythm. I wasn't actually taking any notice of, you know, I've really changed the field or a bat I was doing. Literally all I could see was the tram line of it, like almost like a motorway of where I was running in and the batter at the other end. And it didn't matter what was going on, I just knew exactly where I wanted it to go and how fast it was going. I remember I hit my hand nicking it and it like taking forever to get a routine. He looked miles back. Like if I shut my eyes and think, oh, that's like still a great wicket to think of, it was awesome.
You've had the pleasure of playing a few matches for England, but they have been dotted around over the course of, I guess, 7 years or so because of injury, playing a part. You finally got the opportunity to play in an Ashes. A difficult time with the results. A nice finish, though, with that 6 for at Hobart. Just explain how you were feeling in that moment.
Frustrated, I think. Actually, the first innings, I hadn't bowled well at all. The opening spell, I think my first 3 or 4 overs I was going at 10 and over. Then I managed to drag it back to 8 and over. And by the time I got my first wicket, I think it was still at 7.5 and over. So it wasn't gone to plan. But then I managed to get 3 wickets in that first innings where Stokesy had totally, he come up with us, he said, you know, it's not working. Why didn't we go into a different plan? Let's go to this bouncer field and be aggressive and just hit the pitch as hard as you can. Then second innings came round and it was like, well, that plan's worked. Let's just stick to this. So it was actually, out of all the test matches in Australia, it was probably the one I felt I bowled the worst in, but actually I got them 6 wickets and felt like I'd clawed back in the game because we were behind the game. I got all them wickets early in that game, thought, you know, we've got a chance of winning here. Fortunately, it wasn't meant to be, but I still feel like one of the best I've bowled for England was actually the Sydney Test, which is the one before. I think I only got 1 wicket and maybe 2 wickets in the second innings, but that was the best, one of the best I think I'd ever bowled for England in terms of felt threatening. Every spell was high pace, felt like I was, you know, causing problems, but it just didn't happen. And then I get to Hobart and I didn't bowl as well, but I managed to get wickets. It's just funny how the game works. I feel incredibly proud and lucky that I've managed to get one of these. No one can take that away from me.
Well, as if by magic, we have your number 25 test cap, and on the back, part of an elite club, number 667. What does that mean?
Well, firstly, this hasn't had that much of a go. I think 3 overs, this one. So when I got the speech from Stokesy, obviously, lovely speech, one that's meant a lot to us about being resilient and coming back and things like that. And he presented us with this cap, and of course you get 25, 50, 75, 100, you get new caps every time. So I thought, well, I better wear this one in the game. I put it on, and in my 3 overs, I had something like none for 31. So I took it off when I got in the dressing room, put it down, I was like, that's it. It's had its chance, didn't live up to the mark, and I went back to the old one. So it's in pristine condition. As you can see, 667 on the back, that's my number. I just managed to avoid 666, which is Adam Lyth. I don't know if I think I would have took 666, like, but 667's mine. It's very special to me. You know, no one can take that away from me. When I think of my number, my cap, I think of, you know, not just myself, but it represents my family, all the people that made sacrifices for me, my friends, my local cricket club, everyone like that. And I think, you know, when I think of having a cap like this, I think of all the people that I would represent, obviously represent Durham in this region, but also think of, I come from Northumberland, right down to Cornwall in the south, and everyone in between, and I represent all them. So I want to try and do them proud and myself proud, and I think, you know, it's all in this cap.
Do you think of all the players that have gone before you as well? 703 test players for the England men.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you in terms of that sense of history?
It means I belong to probably an elite club. You know, 700 people, although, you know, 700 cricketers maybe sounds a lot in terms of 11 only getting the team, but it's not that many really when you think about that. There's elite players who've played for England. There's plenty of good players who've never managed to play for England, so I feel incredibly proud and lucky that I've managed to get one of these. and even better that there's one with 25 times on it. So I hope that I've got a few more in me. I can, you know, represent all those 703 every time I walk out and prove, you know, that I belong well amongst them. I've got the team song on the wall there at the back.
Can we get a rendition of the song? Or is that only saved for when you win?
Well, it's safe when we win, but I will, because it's in Geordie, I will run you through it. So, oh, me lads, you should have seen us going. Pass the folks along the road, just see we're standing. Our lads and lads there with our smiling faces. We're going along Scots Road to see the blading races.
Love it. It's been a proper Geordie education. Woody, an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. Thanks for showing me around here at Durham, but also taking us through your story and cap number 667.
Thanks, Ish.